there is a physical memory of remembering where you came from. So the body remembers. Any kind of intimacy, if the body is confused, it can't come to ease, which will bring a certain level of discomfort, lack of exuberance, lack of involvement with anything, that you become a veteran when you're living. Runanubandha means the physical memory that you carry within you. That body has a certain memory. It's not appropriate to say genetic memory. Runanubandha is not like genetic factors being transmitted from parent to child, not on that level. There is a physical memory of remembering where you came from. Not necessarily in terms of tone of your skin, shape of your nose, how you're built, your race, not that. In India, if you come, people will do like this. They don't want to do that. They will love you like this. Because you will develop Runanubandha. Because the culture is constantly conscious of not building bondage, so the body remembers any kind of intimacy, not only with another physical body, any kind of intimacy even with any physical substance. Here in the temple, they're doing kleshanashana, the fire wash. Physical memory beyond a certain point, that what you pick up, will cause a certain level of confusion. Confusion, not here. This confusion is a different thing. That is something you have earned. But physical confusion, if the body is confused, it can't come to ease. Most yogis have shower at least twice a day, minimum. Usually it's a dip in the river. Just at least once you dip in flowing water so that you're washed clean. You try this when there is a strong breeze. Just wear something loose and just simply stand there for half an hour, being conscious of this with your eyes closed, both this way and from the back. You get enough breeze flowing over you. You come back into your house and you feel like so much lighter and better. All the sannyasis, all the sadhus and sannyasis always use very fine sieved mud, red earth, to color their clothes. If you wear these clothes, in some way, it is a reminder for the body as to where it comes from and where it'll go. So washing Runanubandha is… one way of doing it is you have a mud bath. So existentially, when physical memory overlaps upon itself, it will cause a physical level of confusion, which will bring a certain level of discomfort, lack of exuberance, lack of involvement with anything, that you become a veteran when you're living. It's in some way, because of overlapping memory, you become less alive to everything around you.
Now to extend further about Runanubandha, it is like this. It takes many things to make an individual human being who he or she is. With everything that our five sense organ comes in touch with, in a way, knowingly or unknowingly, consciously or unconsciously, we establish a bond with it. This is not just with the people around us, but also with the very land we walk upon, water we drink, the air we breathe, and just about everything that we see, hear, smell, taste or touch. This is because none of these things happen without investing a certain amount of energy in it. You cannot see something unless you invest some energy in it. You cannot really listen to something unless you have invested some energy to it. You cannot taste or touch anything unless something of you is invested. With this investment comes a bonding. In traditional terms, it is known as Runanubandha. Now, Runanubandha exists because the body has its own memory. It is a certain kind of physical memory that you carry within you. It is different from the genetic factors that are transmitted from parent to the child. Now, Sadhguru in this video has already talked about various types of Runanubandha one gathers during his course of life. Now, I'll not discuss on that, but I want to say that it is so subtle that even if you just wear someone else's clothes, you develop a bond or runanubandha with that person. Now, of all the relationships, sexual relationship have maximum impact in terms of amount of memory they live upon you compared to any other kind of substance you come in touch with. Now, it happens like this. People have a variety of relationships, blood, sexual or transsexual. Then a certain physical sameness happens. So there comes runanubandha with the person. When the person dies, efforts are being made to obliterate the runanubandha with this person as much as possible. To get rid of the runanubandha, in this video, Sadhguru has already talked about various kriyas like clay shashna kriya or water bath, wind bath. Now remember, these are the kriyas, whatever Sadhguru discussed about for the alive, for the live people like you and me. I'll not discuss the same, but I'll discuss why and how the runanubandha bond or the debt has to be cleared with the dead person, which I found really very much interesting and read in the death book of Sadhguru. I read in this book of Sadhguru and I really found why the rituals of 14 days in our culture is being made, how the runanubandha debt get cleared up with the person who has died, and also what Isha Yoga Center does for the same. So one of the things which I studied is that one have to and should break the relationship with a dead person for you to be able to live well. Because the nature of the life is such that at times you can become susceptible, then both right and wrong kind of things can happen to you. If this runanubandha is not properly broken, one can see in this modern societies that it will definitely affect your physiological structure. It weakens your body and your physiological structure in such a way that you will not only suffer from grief, it will also lead to a certain disarrangement of life. This is why in Indian culture evolved many methods in the rituals that were performed after death to consciously dissolve the runanubandha with a person. So, for long, Isha Yoga Center performed a ritual in which they wiped out the runanubandha of the dead with his relatives through a certain processes by taking the photograph of the dead in the first 3 days after death. Now, this ritual now happens in a larger scale and is known as KALBHAIRAV Karma. Remember, KALBHAIRAV Karma is a process which is done for the person who has died. It is not for the alive person. If KALBHAIRAV Karma is done within the stipulated time, that is within 11 to 14 days, the being will find its target very early. If done later, it is not as much as effective, but definitely it shortens the time the life lingers around. It reduces the limbo time for sure. Once KALBHAIRAVA Karma is done, a quick cycle of the person or the life that died happens. Now, this karma requires a photograph of the dead person and a piece of cloth used by them. It would be good if the blood relative of the person is present at the yoga center. Now, for a logical mind, it becomes hard to understand how is it possible that with just a photograph and a piece of cloth, we can assess the person one has died in their journey. So let's discuss about that. Everything that you know in life right now in some way is the imprint of certain kind of memory. It is not just the memory of the conscious mind of remembering someone or something. It goes really beyond. You are in the human form with 2 legs, 2 eyes, 2 hands because of evolutionary memory. In this human form, there are specific manifestations like the color of the skin, the shape of the eyes, the shape of the nose. It is because of genetic memory. Now, even when these things are same or similar, even for the twins, each human being is different from one another, and this is because of karmic memory. There are layers and layers of memories like this. Now, these memories are present not only in the mind and body, but also in the very energy of the person and played around in so many different ways. Let's examine it in a very rudimentary level, which this book talks about. Let us say you walked in the garden, right? So now you bring a sniffer dog. Just by smelling the ground, he will know that which direction or which way he went. They can do this up to 3 or 4 days, sometimes even longer if there has been no disturbance. This is because you leave the puddle of memory when you walk. As our individual scent is a consequence of a unique nature of a complex memory structure. That is why a dog is able to trace it down. So if with just few moments of your contact with the ground, you are leaving puddles of memory for the creature, imagine how much memory you are leaving behind throughout the span of your life. How much memory do you think the clothes that you wear, the place that you sat on, the place that you slept, the objects that you were touched with, and such variety of many other things. So once a person dies, in Indian culture, we always want to wipe the Runanubandha because yesterday has a power of its own. And if you do not liberate yourself from it, yesterday will affect your tomorrow. After a person dies, maybe they have attained mukti or they have gone somewhere else, we don't know. But either because you were born to them or you were in touch with them in some way or the other, their memory imprints are there on you. Now these imprints are not just in the mind and your body but also in your energies as well. So one important aspect of death ritual is that you almost become free of this. It is very important. Now becoming free of memory and losing your memory are two different things. If you lose your memory, maybe you'll not remember that person, but it does not mean that you become free of the karmic imprint or Runanubandha with that person. This will still start to work within you in so many unconscious ways. Therefore, we want to distance ourselves from this memory. So with these death rituals, you do something to free the departed, but it is also important to free the living. Some distance must happen. If there are too many puddles of strong memory, it will also trouble the dead. So close relatives, particularly if they had a very loving relationship with them, will bother the dead. So once these memories are wiped out, no relationship exists. So for the departed one, we want to shave off as much memory as possible so that their process of liberation becomes smoother, easier, non-tangled up here and there. Now the 14th day after the person has died is an important day while doing the rituals for the dead. This is the day when all the blood relatives of the person just gather together, perform some rituals. On such occasion, in traditional settings, people make certain account of who has come and who has not come because these are the person who have strong memories or Runanubandha with the person who has died. His residual memory should not live on. It must go, dissipate in every possible ways. So everyone who carries a piece is required to be present there. But in today's tradition or condition, everything is just changed. Only one or two people come for Kalbhairava Karma. In such cases, one simple thing that they do is just take a whiff of their memory and put it in a place which is naturally about disentanglement. Normally, they tie it in front of Shiva temple because he is ascetic, always untouched by anything and always smeared in ash. So with Kalbhairava Karma, they use a photograph of the dead person and a piece of clothing that was in close contact with the body. Now they do the process to dissolve the memory as much as possible. What is not possible, Shiva will do. So remember, Kalbhairava Karma is not a dig and clean process. For most cases, this itself is enough. Around 10 to 15% of the people would need a very strong process to release them. But for about 60 to 70%, it is very easily released with Kalbhairava Karma. For another 10 to 15% that is in between, if some residue of that person is placed in a powerful space, it does the job. Now, if a close relative who carries a very strong memory of that person comes and spends time with Dhyana Linga, even if there is no ritual, it may still work for that dead person. This is not because of Kalbhairava Karma. This is the nature of that place. Even when we are alive, when we say that the Dhyana Linga will make you meditative, what it means is that it will stop the endless mental diarrhea that goes on in a person. When mental diarrhea stops, it means the memory that is of the rotting kind gets reduced. Now, if there is no food in the stomach, there will be no physical diarrhea. Similarly, if there is no rotting thought in the mind, there will be no mental diarrhea. So Dhyana Linga does not care whether the person is living or dead. All it knows is to separate the grain from the chaff. It wants to separate what is you and what is not you. It does not care whether you have a body or not. So if the relative who carry a very strong memory of the dead person just spend enough time with Dhanalinga, say 2 or 3 days around the full moon or the new moon days, it also works well for the person who has died. Now this is what I read in that book of Sadhguru, and I'm still reading it. I'm still in the process of completing it. And for today's video, hope you found the video meaningful. So if you found the video knowledgeable, do not forget to give it a like, share and subscribe. And yeah, do share it with your friends and family members. Up to next, stay safe, healthy, happy, and namaskaram.